All right, folks. Hope everyone's having a nice weekend. This is your friend Koosh. Great weekend over here. A lot of good workouts in the gym. Two-a-days yesterday. Leg day. Leg day is always a big day. I got a lot of good food in and just getting after it. No time to relax or slow down. In fact, the opposite, taking it a step further and diving into a lot of these charts. Got a couple good videos out so far, and this one we're going to have a little fun with. This is going to be a weekend market update, but I'm going to add a fun exercise on the front end of it. The weekend market update is going to be SPY, the dollar, yields. I'm going to look at BABA because BABA is telling us something about this crash everyone's looking for, uh, gold, and that's it. We're going to call it for the weekend market update. But what's the fun exercise? The fun exercise is if you're just subjective and we're looking at the Bitcoin chart, how many different interpretations in here currently are bullish? And when I mean interpretations, I mean if you look at someone like Bulkowski, I recommend Googling that name. Famous technician, charted a lot of different patterns observed in markets, the percentage that they worked out to the bullish side, the bearish side, and uptrends and downtrends, high time frame formations, double bottoms, things like that, rising wedges, all that stuff. And uh, one of my favorite exercises is kind of going through whatever asset I'm looking at and just trying to observe how many different high time frame bullish structures we can identify and how many different relationships there are within the existing structures of impulsive movements versus consolidations and then subsequent release of that energy on the other side. And see how often that occurs, just to inform what may potentially be coming here in the future. Again, as you all know, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't take this as financial advice. I'm just here to give you a different point of view. There's always the things I talk about. They could go up, they could go down, they could go sideways. With that, let's jump into it. So when we objectively look at the Bitcoin chart, and I've got nothing up here, what have we observed? Let's just start with let's start back here in 2019 and just take a look at some simple concepts. Uh, I like to keep things simple, whether we're talking about, bull flags or what's another term for a bull flag in Elliott wave? Impulsive one, A, B, C. Shocker, right? So these things are very much one and the same. Where was the first time we saw our first large scale impulse? And let me change this to well, it was here back in 2019 with what I'm claiming the cycle is. Is that a clear bull flag? No, it's not. Why? Because, this thing came down and boom, COVID lows. But what it is impulse, and then we have a three-legged correction. So it is a 1-2. But my point is the same, okay? And that is the energy expressed in going into a consolidation so often we see expressed to the opposite side with equal to or greater force. That's Hooke's law. That's a concept in physics that's then transposed into financial markets that we see so often. Again, this isn't a guarantee, but we so often see these relationships. This is a conservative relationship. This would be an aggressive relationship where that pull you started on the breakout. Either way, the point is the same, is to say, let's take a look at, is any of this real or is it just BS? Let's take a look at it. Well, I'm gonna make this brighter so everyone can see it. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so that everybody can see it. And I'm gonna say, forget a flag, forget anything. Just look at the energy, look at the impulse, okay? And now let's clone this impulse. And well, before I clone it and place it, let's define a couple things. let's just say from a consolidation standpoint, we're going to do conservative, we're going to do aggressive, okay? Conservative, aggressive. And so from a conservative standpoint, energy release coming out of this would have indicated a target of here. And what happened there? That's where this whole thing consolidated. What would be an aggressive breakout point? That would be the aggressive. And where did Bitcoin stop here? You guys have seen me do this with fibs before, extensions. Shocker, it stopped where we had a consolidative 3, 4, 5 of 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3 week consolidation. And so, all right, so we can't we can't discount, oh, this is no bull flag. It lasted for what is it? June 2019 to March, so almost a year. That technically, if you're looking at the literature, is too long to be considered a bull flag. However, the concept here played out to a T, and that's the concept of, I'm talking about, more importantly, impulses, relationships of impulses, energy released coming out with equal to or greater to force. And we saw it here. And in fact, the market consolidated and took off even higher than that extension of the first impulse in the form of an extended third. Okay. All right. That's fun little cute exercise. Great. I'm sure that's the only time that's ever shown up, right? Yep. I'm sure that's the only time that's ever shown up. Fantastic. Um, let's kind of go to what we're doing right now then. Let's go to what we're doing right now. All right, we've got a move off the lows. We've got what Kush is claiming is another flag, pole, whatever you want to call it, consolidation, impulse into consolidation, which ended up being what I'm calling a 1, 2. Why does this go back to red when I switched it to white? That's irrelevant. I want it all the same color. Okay, what I'm considering is a 1, 2. And now what I'm concerned with is, all right, this energy that went into this impulse, let's see what it is coming out of it. From a conservative standpoint, would be this level right here. From an aggressive standpoint, would be, oh, shocker. It did it again to the aggressive side, okay, to a T. And so there we go. We're seeing it again. And again, this would not be considered, a flag type of structure by technical terms, given the length, but most certainly a consolidative 1, 2 structure from an Elliott wave perspective, where this impulse exceeded, which you see a lot, right? If this is a 3, 3 typically is larger than 1, and so that makes sense. That makes sense here too. And what also makes sense is, let's come back to this. As I shared here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and major 5 is in front of us. 3 ended up being larger than 1 here. So that's not that surprising either. That's not that surprising either. But we're looking at it from a few different kind of vantage points here. Next, let's do another exercise. Let me pull this bad boy out of here and let's just look at our next structure. Our next structure is this big one, our largest one so far. This is our largest consolidative structure so far, and and to be honest, the largest Bitcoin has ever seen in the history of the asset class after a 3x off the lows. You will not find a consolidation that's longer than this one that I'm pointing at in the history of the asset class after a 3x move off the lows. Okay. All right. Next. Sorry, got derailed there a little bit. We're going back to the game of, let's clone this and let's just say conservative. The most conservative target here would be 170. Okay, 170K. The aggressive target would be breakout 225K. We're talking simply of this impulse. That's all we're talking about here. The most conservative target for simply that impulsive movement, 170, aggressive 225. Okay. So far I've shared two or three examples to where it's hit not the conservative, but the aggressive. Next, I'd like to zoom out because those are just the consolidations within these uptrends. Now I just kind of like to take a look at the largest consolidation in this entire structure in the form of, right, that guy. And the impulse that got us into this movement, I'll even start it here to be conservative, being that guy. And that most certainly is not again, a technical bull flag. What it is the same concept as I shared before. All these things are layers of, pieces of broccoli, the big piece, the small piece, all kind of are doing the same things. Clone this, and let's just say our conservative target 283, our aggressive target 450 in terms of, again, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, interesting, right? I'm sure that's not going to play out because, just because the smaller pieces of the broccoli played out, there's no way the larger piece of the broccoli is going to ever look like the smaller piece of the broccoli. I'm sure that's just, coincidence. Lastly, let's look at, let's just let's look at the high time frame. Any other bullish patterns in here? Well, just looking at this, I'm no, genius, but I see a, massive rounded bottom. Okay, massive rounded bottom. And then what else do I see? I see a consolidation as it comes out of that rounded bottom, checking back to a neckline. And the depth of this bottom to the neckline, measured move takes us over 220,000, 250,000 on a breakout. Okay, that's kind of a cool looking pattern there. I'm sure that doesn't play out either. And then, I'm being sarcastic, right? I'm not that good at hiding it, I suppose. And then lastly, what do we have kind of playing out? Here, I've got a kind of a curve playing out here where we've got base 1, base 2, base 3, base 4, overall, parabolic structure on the high time frame that goes back to 2019. So take your pick. There's a lot of different interpretations in these charts, and none of them are bearish. Well, the only one that's potentially bearish was the one I talked about yesterday, where there is a potential for, and you see this a lot in Elliott Wave, the fifth equals the first impulse. That's the only bearish thing I can find, right? Is where If five is in here, equaling one, third was the largest, that would be that's the only counter argument to all this. But the counter argument to all that was what I talked about yesterday, the six other things that these structures have going for it, least of which, you got this large reaccumulation sign of strength and you're just breaking out of it. Energy, spring, compression just tells me that, 300K is the target, if not more. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this went to 400 or 500K, because I just don't hear a lot of people talking about that target. But again, I'm not changing my targets. My targets are the same. All right, that was a fun exercise. Now I'm going to just kind of quickly go through SPY, and I'm going to quickly go through everything else. Nothing really material to update here on SPY. The count remains bullish. I still see this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming out of here. I suppose there still is a possibility of this being a B wave, and then we've got C to make 2. But I just, we already made the move under the cloud here, and so I don't know. I'm not seeing it, but again, I could be wrong. Could be wrong. The markets are in fear right now, by the way. CNN, fear and greed. I don't go on CNN, by the way, but CNN, fear and greed index is the first one that pops up on my feed, and it's at fear. And so, again, the path of, when I see stuff like that, the path of the most pain to me is just much higher, when we're at all-time highs and the market's in fear. The dollar, this looks like a very complex redistribution that's coming to an end. Made some great calls on the dollar. This was not one of them here, folks. That was not one of them. I did not call that. Called that move. I don't know. I think I may have called that move. I certainly called this move being a parabola and expecting down. I did not expect this complex. Okay, this is really complex. And it just looks like a complex redistribution to me. And if this, in fact, is the upthrust after distribution, then I'd expect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave moves down in impulsive fashion. And so, again, if this comes in an impulsive fashion, and all this has been going on in a corrective fashion on the dollar, and the markets have rallied, what happens when we get an impulsive move on the dollar down? The risk here, again, is to the upside, is to a major move to the upside. That's just my opinion, but that's how I'm seeing it. The 10-year. Look at this chart of the 10-year. This is a weekly chart. I've got a Wyckoff image up here. I mean, again, this just looks like this is exactly what a distribution looks like. Everything I talked about in the video yesterday, 30-week coming up, starting to flatten out. What did I say? If Bitcoin were to do something like this, I can start to entertain distributions. This is very distributive to me, and this is why I believe ARK is going up. Why is ARK going up? It's sniffing out that lower rates are ahead. That's my belief. That's what this chart looks like. It's massively bullish. Alibaba. This is a double bottom, which is has one of the highest propensities of success, if not the highest. Looking at Bulkowski, analyzed 30 different high time frame patterns, I believe 28, 35, I don't remember, a lot of them. And the number one hit rate in terms of probability of bullish continuation was a double bottom. This is an Adam Eve double bottom. This is the Wyckoff that I've got, high time frame 3, 4, 5, 1, A, B, C. Got a 2, 3. I think we're working on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My target for Baba in the coming year is 200. If not more. But I just do not see markets, this is not a risk off signal. This is a signal of the riskiest stuff, the China names, the ARK names, catching a bid here and sniffing out what's coming. So that's how I'm seeing that. Gold, did I say I was going to do gold? I'll do it. Gold's continuing to perform. I see a consolidation coming very soon. I don't know if it's here. something like that. Maybe we're in the process of a running flat, but I think we get a consolidation here, a pullback soon to digest the move, which Bitcoin's going to like a lot, and then move up. So no change on gold. The target for gold is well over 3,000. That's the video, folks. Hope you have a great rest of the weekend. Take care.